Hey, Anton.
Yeah, Margaret?
You know what people don't talk about enough?
What?
How much Wilhelm downplays how he feels about August when he's talking to his brother. Welcome to People Don't Talk About Young Royals. I'm Margaret. My pronouns are they, them.
And I'm Anton. My pronouns are he, they.
And we're people here to discuss the show our friends are sick of hearing us talk about.
If that sounds like you, stick around. If your friend sent you this podcast out of a desperate attempt to get you to watch Young Royals, take this as a sign.
Go watch Young Royals, then come back to this podcast.
Margaret, what are we talking about today?
Today we will be having a character discussion of Wilhelm in Season 1, Episode 2, having decided we have no choice but to stand.
Woohoo! In this discussion, we won't be summarizing the plot of the episode, because we already did that. If you need or want a refresher, head back 5 episodes in our feed to our most recent This Week in Hilarska for a full breakdown. This episode discussion will likely be all over the place, so strap in. You have been warned.
Alright, I'm going to start with the cold open, because we don't have to go in order for this episode.
Oh yeah, we're just talking about one character. You should be able to keep up by now. We've been so much better this cycle about staying in order.
We've been on our best behavior except for last episode. Last episode, I don't know how much of it got cut. I haven't listened to it fully yet. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
But
no, yeah.
We were on our worst behavior while recording.
So yeah. I mean, the way these have been were structured last cycle, and we'll try to continue, is that we're kind of going through specific moments as a reminder for the audience, just kind of basically quote unquote defending why we have chosen to stand Wilhelm in this episode. I don't know that many people who would dispute us in this, but like basically just listing our reasons why we love Wilhelm in this episode, essentially.
Yeah. Okay, so he's talking to his brother. First of all, August thinks he's jerking off. And then his brother calls. You know how your brother calls while you're not jerking off, but your cousin thinks you are?
Totally relatable things.
Yeah, that happens every day. Jesus Christ.
Already have to trigger warning masturbation. Gotta love a young. No, literally, I've had to do that for almost every episode, especially this cycle, but like a lot of episodes last cycle too.
God damn it! Do we really talk about it that much?
Well, anytime we bring up it within the context of the show, I have to trigger warning.
That's true. God damn it.
So, no, yeah, I would definitely. We definitely have talked about this a bit last episode when we were talking about August and Wilhelm's dynamic. But like the idea that because of how he and Eric left things, of being like, this isn't verbatim what he said, but like respect August, like he's the one who will look out for you here.
Mm-hmm.
Like I think Wilhelm has enough sense to probably know that like Eric won't like be totally sympathetic to a full and honest evaluation of how he's been feeling.
No.
Yeah.
But I think it's funny that as a venting teenager, he is relatively I mean, he calls him hysterical, so I don't really want to say respectful. But he could say a lot worse.
Yeah.
I don't know. I just think it's funny.
Yeah, and and we talked about last time the things he kind of he chooses to omit.
Yes.
Specifically what August told him at the party.
Yeah, you know how he doesn't tell him that August might kill somebody and get away with it.
Yeah, or was joking about it.
Yeah.
I mean, in a kind of a dark turn, I do wonder if Villa, in his heart of hearts, is kind of scared to bring that up for not knowing like what Eric's reaction to that would be.
Because imagine you're Wilhelm and you think your brother with his whole chest will go, well, yeah. I just wouldn't want to know that information. I'd be like, I don't even want to know.
Right, yeah. And also, I will say, in general, as of this episode, I feel like we do not know, maybe we may not know Wilhelm enough to like fully like say this with certainty, but I think I could already read when I was first watching this that like Wilhelm, given his role in his family and just like who he is as a person, is someone who can who will justify or like reframe their own feelings even to himself, so that they're like less of a big deal, so that he can deal with them more.
You saying he gaslights himself to cope?
Essentially, yeah.
That's respectable. We all do it a little bit, right?
You think that's a reasonable? I'm not gonna say it's a reasonable coping mechanism, but I think it's a reasonable assessment of the situation.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, I don't really have any other example, but at least the way he talks to his brother, I would say so.
Yeah. I think it's hard to say this with certainty. I think it's just kind of more of a feeling I have that might be partially informed by like future events we can't get into in this episode, but like I don't know. I think it's also interesting. Oh, it's hard to tell because we're seeing him at a breaking point at the start of this show, and so we don't like one of the many eternal mysteries of the before pilot times is like what scandals, if any, has Wilhelm had in the past, and like how much has he been pushing down until this moment where he can't anymore.
Yeah, because
like to some extent, like in the first episode, Christina especially kind of seemed like done with him, but I can't fully tell if it was I'm done with you because we've had this conversation over and over again, or I can't even believe what I'm hearing right now.
I feel like it was the first one. Just with the way that she was talking to him, I don't feel like it's I'm in disbelief that this could have happened. I feel like it was you've done this again. Oh, yeah,
that's fair. I guess, to an extent, if this isn't a trait that Wilhelm has already had, I think it might be one he's developing.
Yes.
Because, I mean, that was a pretty big wallop of shame to get in the first episode. That would seriously probably mess up my sense that I have any valid opinions in my family.
Big time.
So
that would fuck up my self-worth majorly.
But I guess to steer us away from the sad and towards like why like this makes you like Villa more.
Well, I just love Wilhelm. We know this.
Well, yeah. I think that was my struggle with this and Simon's episode that'll be coming next week.
I had a really hard time with these notes.
Because it's like, can I just say every time they're on screen?
Can
like this episode specifically, it is kind of hard to pin down specific reasons.
Yeah.
Like, I'm me, so I managed to do it because boil things down to a thesis is what I literally got a degree in. So,
okay, well, all of us had to write for our major.
I know.
Some of us made chlorine gas, okay? Twice.
But no, I think I would definitely agree with you that like it's a similar. It links back to what we said last episode. Oh, by my last episode, I mean last cycle's Wilhelm episode. Which is like we called it Wilhelm the Anxious in the end, and it's because of the aspects of Wilhelm that are relatable. Like that was what we really connected with in the first episode, is the ways in which the way he responds to situations is recognizable to people with anxiety. And I think
that's a lot
this
of
is
the
an instance
reason...
of this.
Sorry, go ahead.
No, I was just gonna say, I think this is an instance of it, of like downplaying your perspective on things because you don't want the other person to perceive you as being like out of line.
Yeah. I think a lot of the reason why I have to stand him in this episode boils down to the same thing I did last time. Was like, it's just a relatable character. Obviously, being a crown prince of Sweden is not relatable to most people in the world, but he's a kid who has anxiety, who's figuring things out for the first time.
Yeah. I mean, we've talked at length anytime we're talking about Wilhelm and Simon together about the moments in this episode where Wilhelm feels like I think how did we word it in Art of the Frame? A normal human boy teenager or something like that.
Normal human boy teenager in this episode, and I love it.
I guess if we're trying to connect thematically, then do we want to talk about the texting scene into the soccer game then?
I'd love to talk about the texting scene into the soccer game.
Yeah, I referred to it as the return of Wilhelm the Anxious.
That's so perfect.
Because I'm like, again, he's just like me for real. Because I know that's what I said last time.
Just like me for real.
I don't know. Again, like that's the setup, and the payoff is something that like we only really talk about in this week of Lershka, but like and because only Wilhelm's is the only actual like named character in this scene, we had to wait to talk about it here. But him trying to get the bus and then like failing,
yeah,
it's always just so like.
I can't. Sometimes I skip that because I can't watch. I feel bad for him.
See, for me, it's always like it's so fascinating to me that I can't look away because it's just like it is like the one scene we've really had so far, other than like him going to Lershka and be like surrounded by cameras, of like seeing. I mean, hit that and like then we almost immediately after we have High Prince, which is another bit of context, but like. That the bus is seen as even more powerful to me because it's like there's no Simon to diffuse that situation.
Yeah.
And so we just have to kind of sit in the like what Wilhelm experiences when he just tries to do normal teen things.
Normal human boy
teenager
things.
Yeah. Like it's. Like having just random strangers whispering about you, and like having people kind of like tittering and laughing, because you don't know how buses work.
I mean, it's also probably because they recognized him and they're like, he doesn't know how buses work, and he's the prince.
Yeah, right. Yeah, like you get why they're laughing, but you're also just like, we as the audience have sat through an entire. An entire sequence of Wilhelm being like multiple sequences of Wilhelm being assaulted by cameras, and so like we know how he feels about the public eye like intimately at this point, and you're just like, well, this has different context that makes me uncomfortable.
Yeah.
And so it's like, I know there have been like some, like I always kind of I feel like in Wilhelm episodes specifically is what I feel like I often bring this up, is like this argument that some people like to have about like arguing Wilhelm's relatability against his privilege. But I think something I've been thinking about recently is that wealth is a privilege more often than not, but fame is a punishment more often than not.
Yeah, I'd agree with that.
Which I think I've basically essentially cracked our privilege punishment for this episode, but spoilers. It's all good.
When's that coming? A few weeks from now. Get ready for that.
After the character episodes.
Yeah,
so
it's like 4 weeks.
Yeah, it's like more like 6, but
6 weeks. Math is hard.
It's all good. But I think as much as one can argue for his position of privilege, of the connections he has, and the ways in which he will not encounter as much hardship as someone like Simon will for doing many tasks, there is a certain like gilded cage quality to his life that I think that bus scene does highlight.
Yeah.
Of like, yeah, sure, he's part of the wealthiest family in Sweden. Like, probably, I don't know exactly who the Swedish family are, but they have to be up there. But he's never ridden a bus. It's like he
doesn't get to have that like normal society experience of like taking public transportation.
Yeah, when you have such an image-focused existence, everything has to be a performance.
Yeah.
Which means you don't do things that would reflect poorly on the status that your family cares deeply about upholding. and projecting to the world. Like, I am surprised that we didn't get a message from Christina being like, why the hell are you on a bus? Because I feel like there was someone with their phone out, right? Like,
I don't remember.
I could only imagine. Like, you see the prince of your country on your bus. Like,
yeah, somebody's taken a picture of that,
right?
Or maybe
Which, like,
not.
yeah,
I
am surprised. Well, I guess not, because like, because otherwise, like, Simon's video would still be a big deal, but like, it'd be less of a big deal.
Yeah.
Than if like there already gonna be photos out there.
Right.
I don't know.
Yeah, I don't think I saw anybody with a phone out.
Yeah, I guess it could have just happened like fast enough, and then you're just like, eh.
Or you're like, what the fuck? And then it's
like, it's like a little what the fuck moment. I guess it's not necessarily an embarrassing moment, like him getting into a fight at a nightclub. Like, that's a whole other thing. But like, yeah. But I don't know. Again, in the spirit of like him wanting to be a normal teen, I think watching that moment and then High Prince, and then what comes, like, what I feel in direct response to that is he's like gung-ho, like, let me get the hot dogs.
Yeah.
Because it's like, he is, I think, it's very subtextual, but I think desperately he is like trying to escape all of the stuff he's been living in for however long he's been at Halershka.
Yeah, I think he's definitely trying to escape.
Yeah. We've really I don't know how we've wedged ourselves this deep into a mopey hole in the beginning of a Wilhelm Standing episode. Like,
no.
I mean, we did start with like Wilhelm downplaying his emotions, so it's like,
that is true. I really set the stage bad. What am I going through right now?
It's all good. Do we want to try to backtrack to somewhere happier?
I'd love to.
Let me look through my notes. Okay, I just want to. I mean, this is going to be kind of covering ground we've already tread, but I really wanted to just kind of like focus in on Wilhelm's perspective, on his own feeling, because that's really like different from all of the other character episodes from last cycle. We actually were able to come up with titles for these episodes while we were working through. I mean, and you might have actually heard the origins of them over the course of Revolution, and so with that, we're going to try to do that whenever we can. I mean, we not always do that, but like having the idea that like we're calling him Wilhelm the Reckless this cycle, like pinpointing like where that comes from, and for me that comes from him really not knowing what he's feeling for most of the episode, which we've covered extensively.
Oh yeah, big time.
But I think I would argue that up until the math class scene, which to be fair is like the third or fourth scene in the episode, so like there's not much before that, but like up until that, a lot of everything, like the on the table scene, the walking to math class with like Felice kind of cornering him, and then August cornering Felice to some extent, he's been kind of being drawn into other people's assumptions about him.
Mm-hmm.
Like August thinks he went away at the party with Felice, and then Felice is like going up to him like with no idea that she has no shot, and then like and he's like, I wrote him a note, it's like he's minding his own business, but like in his first real moment of like agency in the episode, he uses to try to talk to Simon.
Yeah.
And seemingly not about anything specific. Like, what do you think he was trying to say before Mr. England arrived? Like, I've never been able to really parse that.
I have absolutely no idea.
And I'm not sure he does either.
No, I don't think so. It was probably just going to be like, hi.
Like, I think he just wants to like acknowledge him.
Yeah.
Basically, which interesting thing that could have been a Love Royals thing, but also I don't actually know if it would really fit there. Actually, kind of in contrast to Felice's reaction to Sarah.
You're right.
of like what, like the two connections that were made at the party.
Mm-hmm.
One is being ignored and the other one is trying to be actively fostered.
Damn, you're so right, bestie.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I guess just regarding the math class scene, like I in the context of we want to, even in standing episodes, like point out times when characters did something that we might not agree with or like think could have been handled better. But like it and I think when we touched on this before, like telling Simon about private tutoring, he didn't know how that was going to go over.
Yeah, he kind of had no way of knowing.
Yeah. And so like, and I wrote down, he may benefit from the rules, but he didn't create them. Like at the end of the day, like,
yeah,
which goes back to what I was saying before. Like you can argue all the live long day, like privilege, punishment,
and we will give us
and we will
6 weeks.
But in this context, I think there's like no other way he could have really gone about that in his own perspective. But I would call a math class like the start of Reckless Willa, and then as mentioned in Revolution, I think he is here to stay all the way through the episode, because this is a boy who is like, he was kind of like, I'm really curious what that switch was, because he was kind of okay at hiding it at the on the table scene, and then the on the table scene like ends with like a subtle look, and like I think it's just like just the like thought in his head. Like I think all it took was like, because like I think we talked in Revolution about how we both think that Wilhelm has kind of recontextualized that the end of episode 1 in his head a lot, and been like completely turned it platonic. But I think the reintroduction, on like the following Monday, presumably, that of getting your dick sucked, like this. Do we have
to trigger warning blowjobs now?
I mean, I guess I could just like be like sexual. I guess not very innuendo. That's not very innuendo, but I'll figure out something. Listener, you'll see what I decided to write. Like I think that subtle implication, or just like that like idea planted in his head, has just thrown him for a loop. Like I don't know, like we've seen the mask he's able to put up in front of other people in episode 1, and I think just thinking about him scrolling through his phone before math class on the steps while Felice is ogling him secretly, like I'm just thinking like, what is going through that boy's head? Or what is he actively like scrolling on his phone to avoid thinking about? I don't want to read into every action he takes, but in my own interpretation of things, like considering that he tries to talk to Simon like immediately afterwards, like there's something happening in his brain, I think, that like it's just this start of this like friction in his brain that just like gets like more and more intense throughout the episode.
I can get behind that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then we've talked about this scene at length. It might be definitely one of our go-tos. Rowboat at sunset scene.
The bro tap.
Yes, the bro tap.
Bro tap.
What did you have to say about the bro tap?
I don't remember. I just remembered thinking bro tap.
You're good. Because most of what I have to say is defending Villa from his more dubious actions in this scene. So if we can wait.
I guess mine as well. I think he's in this constant like limbo between like what he like who he is as a person genuinely, which is like a nice caring person who wants to spend time with Simon, who is kind of at a low point in his life because he's had all of these things happen all at the same time, and that's very stressful for anybody of any age.
Mm-hmm.
And then there's also, like, whenever August is around, he has to play that, like...
Yeah.
I don't want to say jerk, because he's not a jerk. It's just...
No, he needs... But, like...
Do you know what I'm saying,
but like, the dichotomy we keep bringing up is that, like, well, around Simon, he's Villa, and then around, like, other people, he's, like, Prince Wilhelm.
Yes.
Like
he's like who everybody expects Prince Wilhelm to be.
Yeah, like, it always... One of the most fascinating things to me about this show is that as much as Wilhelm hates it, he actually is, like, pretty good at it.
Yeah.
Like he hates being good at it is the thing. I think the distinction. It's not because it's not necessarily, like, I guess in the first episode, in the first cycle, I think we might have not necessarily overstepped, but, like, overstated because of how badly the speech goes, at least initially. But, like, he gets through it afterwards, and, like, he is like notably uncomfortable. But, like, I feel like that's a very specific moment. Like, in normal day-to-day interactions, like,
he's very good at that facade.
Yeah, which I think is mostly just, like, numb myself to my actual emotions, and respond how people expect me to respond.
Yeah.
Again, like, speaking to that friction, I think it's, like, it's his feelings for Simon that are actually truly causing the most distress to that facade. To, like, to his ability to just respond how people expect, because these feelings are so big.
Mm-hmm.
And
they're so the opposite of what everyone expects.
Yes, and they're growing so fast. And he, like, August identified Simon as the enemy. And so if, like, conformity is important, which we know it is, like, if these feelings they're just fundamentally opposed to the image that he has been trying to cultivate, or has been told to cultivate. Yeah. And so it's, like, again, like, even, like, down to him not being able to ride a bus, like, coming from a very image conscious family, like, you would have distress about something that would make you that much of an outsider. And I think you get a return of this when August finds Simon's Instagram story, and Wilhelm gets Simon to delete it.
You know what I never thought about? And this is so not the right episode for this. That means that August must follow Simon.
So, what did it say? It's like followed by Felice, someone in, like, what and one and, like, one or two more, and so it's like we don't. Yeah.
Yeah. Also his
but also his feed is public. Remember?
Yeah, but that would have meant you would have had to search him out.
Well, August is not as dumb as we want him to be.
I know, and I want him to be so dumb.
Like, all you need to do was check back into Wilhelm's room, realize he wasn't there.
Yeah.
Put two and two together, look up Simon's Instagram, so realize it was public, and see him on his story. Like, it actually did not take that much sleuthing, I don't think.
I know, but in my heart, August is an idiot.
You can believe that if you want to, but I'm not there with you, because he's clueless, but he can put a puzzle together if he has the pieces.
I know, and I don't like that.
I don't know. Stupid characters annoy me, so more often than not, if they have all the pieces but they are not trying to put them together.
I think my thing is I just don't want him to have the pieces.
Yeah,
this is not the right episode for this. I'm so sorry.
But drama, anyways. I don't know what I wanted to say, because this episode is already kind of lingering on longer than I think we're planning on it being, because we really had a lot of contemplative things to say in a Wilhelm standing episode. We're recording these at a different time than usual, y'all. So that might be what it is.
That might be why.
So explanation if the energy is different. But I wanted to say like we brought this up before, and I don't like repeating things in character episodes, but just to kind of address all of make sure we're not cherry picking Wilhelm's quote unquote flaws in this episode. Like he is apologetic because he says sorry that like Simon has to delete it, but I think I brought up in past episodes that, like, he could have communicated like the reason why he needs to delete it, and like not just left it as a hanging assumption. Like, I know we were with an agreement, like Simon does probably get it, but it's just like, if you and maybe Wilhelm was just too embarrassed to go for like and like provide an explanation, or like think, or maybe would think it would sound like an excuse. And I honestly don't know how Simon would take it. But
yeah, I'm with you. Where he should have explained.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not sure if I would have, though. I think I would have been too embarrassed.
Yeah, I totally get that. I mean, for two people who like each other already as like a burgeoning friendship, their communication isn't stellar. So
no.
So then that is an understatement.
Yeah, and that has never been a hot take. It's actually a cold take.
Exactly. And so like and people do talk about that. Anyways.
They sure do. We sure do.
Yes. So it's like, yeah, not surprised. It's realistic for the characters, but it's like, if we're going to kind of recognize when open and healthy, open and honest communication probably would have benefited this situation, this is one of the instances of it.
Yeah, this is for sure one of the instances.
We need a little quick shout out for the class journey speech scene.
We always need a shout out for that because it's so fucking bonkers.
And we could be wrong about this because we really do only focus on Villa's face, and so like we don't see a lot of the other people in the crowd, but like Villa does seem to be the only one besides Simon who like rightly finds August hilarious in that scene.
I'm just trying to think, because I am operating under the assumption where all the other guys are like, you are so right, August. Even if not because they believe it, but because August is their prefect and they're like, I have to believe this.
Yeah. I'm also wondering, I just made this connection just now, like, I don't know, like, I think I was under the assumption for that, like, the stuff that August said at the party, he would have just said to anybody. But I am now wondering if he thought he could be especially brazen with the prince.
Maybe.
And, like, hearing, like, keep your friends closer and enemies closer. Like, if people haven't necessarily heard August speak like that,
yeah,
they might, like, not. And, like, but also, and all the times that he is, like, as an insult, call him Sosa, like August is called Simon Sosa, have largely been in private.
Yeah, at least on screen.
I think at least Vincent would have to realize it's bullshit. Like, it's like, or like be seriously confused.
Yeah.
Like, he calls Boris a Birkenstock wearing socialist. Like,
so fucking funny. Like, I don't think it should be comical, but I find it so comical.
Yeah, well, it's because it's comical because it's so fake.
Yeah. It's comical because he kisses him on the forehead after.
Well, yeah, and it's like, what the hell is Vincent on? That, like, he's not also just busting a gut, because it's like, well, I mean, I guess if August is his friend, like, it's like, okay, you're doing an angle here, or I don't really know what's going on, but I'm just going to go along. Or he
actually thinks this kind of shit. And
I mean,
Vincent is like, yeah, this is August.
Yeah. But it's like, I don't know if you know August that deeply, how you can honestly think he's sincere. It's just like, I don't know. I'm running into the thing where we've run with so many characters in the show, and that I think our perspective on them, I think, is skewed by the fact that we get them alone.
Yeah.
Like we have more information than anyone else on this show, which is always great. Like it's great. It's great TV because it's always love me some dramatic irony, but it's just like
absolutely
what is. It's like sometimes hard to read other characters' reactions, being like, "Why are you not reacting differently than how I am to this?" Like, I don't know.
We do have to bring this back to Wilhelm because this is the Wilhelm Stan episode.
No, you're right. Well, it's because I'm standing Wilhelm for being the one person who is reacting rightly.
Bullshit.
Exactly.
And it's like, what the fuck is going on here?
And like we were just trying to parse out the reason why Wilhelm.
Yeah.
Be the only one, but that was just meant to be a quick shout out.
We should always shout that scene out. Even once we've moved past this episode, we should continue to shout that scene out.
Right. So I grouped the ending together: hand-holding, panic attack, and kiss. And my only comment under it is a lot of this is both Simon and Wilhelm. But come on, in all caps, come on, how many times can we praise this panic attack until it feels problematic?
Yeah. That's honestly why I didn't praise the panic attack in my notes.
It's like, yeah, but like, I guess Wilhelm the Anxious, there, we've checked it off. That's part of why we were like, we should probably include that as like our first attribute to give Villa, because like it comes up so often, and it's like, there, we're adding, because essentially the idea, if you haven't caught on to our very ingenious theming, our character episodes are giving characters royal epithets. And so we're adding epithets to them as we go. And so we have now Wilhelm is Wilhelm the Reckless, for the ways in which these feelings just kind of bowl him over, just like completely like spew out of him like I can't make that not less graphic. I don't know.
Yeah, maybe not spewing.
Spewing. I don't know.
It's a gross word.
It is.
How about like bubbling over? That's so much more gentle.
No, that's fair. That always makes me think of like magic potions, though. Anyways,
love is a magic potion.
And
I never got the rest.
I grouped those all together as kind of like the tour de force of this episode, I think, for like Wilhelm the Reckless. Would you agree? Like, it's that friction we were talking about finally. Mm-hmm. Or I guess more of a tension would be probably more accurate, because it is a tension that finally breaks.
Yeah.
Where like this scene, these like series of scenes alone are like why I think calling this episode Wilhelm the Reckless just makes sense to me. Because we've talked about this before, like he does it because he wants to do it. Like no other reason, head empty, no thoughts, just like want to hold hand, will hold hand.
No, yeah, I agree.
Yeah, and then the tension returns of like, how am I being perceived? And then when they're alone, that tension can ease off enough that he can actually act on the feelings that have been causing him distress the entire episode. So.
Yeah. He's also reckless because, like, we talked about this in prior episodes, I think. But I don't think until... We talked about this certainly throughout episode 1 cycle of, like... Maybe it was episode 2 cycle, and I'm just losing it. But Wilhelm not knowing what Wilhelm is feeling, so acting on every impulse. So, like, yeah, I'm gonna stare at him all throughout Workies. That's just what's gonna happen. Why? I don't know.
Yeah. I think that, like, really, I feel like that adds to reckless. Because, like,
yeah.
I don't know how reckless he was in the first episode.
No, so maybe it was episode 2 and I'm just losing it. The episode 2 cycle and I'm just losing it.
Yeah, because that was the studying scene.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I know that one was in episode 2.
No,
but
no, oh yeah, no,
I
yeah,
can't
but you're
remember
right.
whether
No.
our conversation of Wilhelm not knowing what Wilhelm is feeling was in the episode 1 or 2 cycle.
Right, yeah, that makes sense. I mean, we talk about that in Revolution quite extensively,
yeah,
but it was mostly specifically in the context of the party scene of whether or not he recognizes what's happening, which which we revealed in this cycle's Revolution that we definitely do not think he realizes what's happening because of this episode and the ways in which he would have responded way differently. In this episode he did. And so I think there is a element of me who really wants to just shout out Wilhelm as a person with a lot of feelings who doesn't know what to do with them.
Oh, absolutely.
Because it's if there's anything beyond his anxiety that makes him relatable, it's that.
Oh, yeah.
And so we call this Wilhelm the Reckless, which reckless is kind of it's a bit of a neutral term. I don't know. But that's really what I think, at least I'm intending when we say Wilhelm the Reckless, is Wilhelm, because Wilhelm the emotionally volatile also doesn't sound very good.
No, that makes it sound like he's aggressive, but he's not. He just has a lot of feelings.
Yeah. So it's Wilhelm the emotional also not
not great.
So
but Wilhelm the Reckless is good. It's
Wilhelm the Reckless affectionate.
Wait, can that actually be, because we had, what was it? It was something queen derogatory.
It was queen derogatory. Yeah, it was our probably for the episode. Do you have any more Wilhelm thoughts before you know the drill by now, give my little summary and then ask if you have any thoughts?
Yeah, when you completely show me up and then I have nothing else to say? No, I'm ready for that.
Yeah, you were, I mean, I don't, okay, this feels mean. I was about to well, you're currently 6 for 6 for not having anything to add.
I am. Just say your shit.
Okay. Villa is simply best boy in this episode. He is every awkward queer person with feelings they don't understand, and while the pressure to conform while being around August appears to be mounting, by the end of the episode, his feelings for Simon overcome the pressure and responsibility of his royal status. And that is why I, at least, stand Villa.
7 for 7.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I honestly, I never know what I could possibly add to these because I just fully agree.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Because often this is me just basically boiling down everything that my notes have set up to this point.
Yeah.
And
exactly.
so it's if there wasn't anything we needed to add before, it does make sense. But
right.
Yeah.
He's a relatable boy. He has a lot of feelings. And he allows himself to act on them at the end of the episode.
Yep.
And I'm proud of him for it, and I love him for it.
And we'll see where that leads him.
Yes, we will. In the next episode cycle. We still got a little while on this one, though.
Oh, yeah.
All right.
But might as well we're halfway through the cycle. Might as well start teasing the next one.
Yeah, we'll tease it.
Are you ready to take us to the outro?
Yeah. Okay. Thank you for listening. If you'd like to keep up to date with when we release new episodes and other pod-related announcements, you can check out our Instagram at People Don't Talk About. Our next episode will be the character standing episode for Simon in episode 2. So stay tuned. And with that, all that's left to say is...
Let's start a revolution, baby.